Hello and welcome to another edition of Temple Timeout. I'm Hofsass.
And I'm Vince Coll. It's March, so you know what that means. Madness is coming. We're going to take a look at the postseason expectations for the men's and women's basketball teams.
And then we're going to dive into Temple's fencing team. They're really taking the national spotlight. We have all that coming up after this timeout.
Welcome back, and we are going to get things started today talking about the women's basketball team because the American Athletic Conference tournament starts tonight, and Houston and Cincinnati, they're going to be playing each other in the first round. As you can see, Temple is waiting in the second round. So, Bree, I'm going to ask you, is there any chance that the first game, that will be tomorrow at 6 o'clock Saturday, is there any chance that Temple can get maybe upset?
I really don't think so, Vince. You know, this team, both times that they played Cincinnati and Houston, they handled them pretty handedly, and they don't make mistakes like that. They beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. I think that the real test for this Temple team is going to be another battle against USF because USF is on the same side of the bracket as them, and both of these teams, Temple and USF, have one win against each other this season. So I think that that's going to be the true championship in this tournament because, as you know, UConn sits at the other side of the bracket, and they don't lose.
Yeah, so as we said last week, UConn has not lost a game in the American Athletic Conference, and if we're looking at the national spotlight, the national tournament, Temple is still sitting pretty at the number 7 seed according to ESPN's bracketology. So, and the good news is UConn is on the other end of the bracket. So the only time Temple would have to play UConn in the tournament is if they were in the national championship. And I think Temple fans would be extremely excited about that.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of hope going into this postseason. But let's take a look at the men's. They have some time before their conference tournament kicks off. That's going to kick off next week. And they're heading into their last regular season matchup against USF. Kind of a lackluster team, but if I was Temple, I would not be taking anyone lightly. They just barely beat Tulane, who has 5 wins on the season.
Yeah, last time out, Temple played Tulane, and they hosted them for Senior Day, and it took them 2 overtimes for them to finally get it done. As you can see here, this is the shot that sends it into the second overtime. It was a big day. Here's Quentin Rose getting up. But since it was Senior Day, you're gonna see the coming up right here. Senior Day, Mark Williams had his season high 20 points. Mike Robbins, he started the game, and he had 7 of the team's first 10 points. So, Bree, I don't know why Coach Stumpy took him out with that type of production early, but the seniors, have kind of, faced some adversity this year. So I'm going to ask, how do you, what will be your lowdown on the seniors this year?
I think that this has been an interesting senior class, to say the least. Mark Williams being named captain at the beginning of the season was kind of a little scary at first, but I think that the senior class has adapted great to all the adversity that they have faced because talent-wise, especially with Josh Brown, his injury coming into the season and the possibility of him sticking around for a 5th year, they're not the most talented senior class. Dan Dingle, he's an average to good player, definitely not like Quentin DeCozy in terms of being that guy. But I think that he has definitely stepped up as the on-the-court leader. Mark Williams has embraced his role of being a vocal leader on and off the court. And Mike Robbins, I think that he's been efficient in the time he's been given. He's been grateful for the time he's been given, and he's been a hard worker. So I think overall this has been a really good senior class to look up to for these underclassmen.
No, I can totally agree with that. So now we're going to move it on to the fencing team because yesterday I got a chance to actually go in to sit in with the whole fencing practice, and I learned all about them. But they're coming off wins against the number 1 Princeton and number 4 University of Penn. So a big week for Temple fencing. They got it done, and if you could see, it was really interesting to see them play. Bree, I have to ask, if you were going to play a sport, how high on your list is fencing?
Probably number 4, maybe.
Okay.
I feel like they're kind of under the radar.
Yeah.
Gymnastics after last week, they're definitely on my top. Gymnastics, but the fencing team, they seem to be nationally ranked every year after year, and they just don't get a lot of coverage. So I think that they fly under the radar, and they're always in that national spotlight. So they're number 4 on my list.
For sure. So now moving on, we have the player of the week this season, and actually the player of the week this season, the player of the week today is not even in season. We're talking about Izzy Rapash of Temple Volleyball, because she was invited to the U.S. national team, the volleyball team, to play in the Olympics. She's a sophomore from Ohio, 6'2". A big accomplishment for Izzy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anytime that a Temple athlete gets a chance to take their athletic career to the next level, it shows great milestones for Temple athletics, because like so many other teams, the volleyball team had a great season this past season, and I think that it shows a lot that we have national players, especially with the NFL Combine starting today, and our Owls, they're doing great. So I think that really shows, it says a lot about Temple athletics with these athletes going on to the next level.
Yeah, so next week we're going to dive in all about the NFL Combine stuff. We were going to do it this week, but only Deion Dawkins and Jahad Thomas were in the Combine as of today. So we're going to talk about all 4 of these guys next week. But that's all we have from this edition of Temple Timeout. For Bree Hofsass, I'm Vince Coll. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at @TU_SportsDesk and on TempleUpdate.com. Click on that Sports Desk tab.